What do we do when people don't meet our expectations? Whether it be that Taylor Swift doesn't speak up on an issue that you think she should, or whether it's an employee not doing what you think they should, or whether it's someone in your family, whether someone's leaving dirty socks on the floor. When is it okay for us to set expectations, and when should we be giving them the benefit of the doubt?
Hello, I'm Olivia D'Souza. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I'm a content and podcast expert. I support visionary entrepreneurs and leaders passionate about living with purpose. Join me as we explore podcasting, life, business, and authenticity. Subscribe for meaningful conversations with a business buddy who gets what it's like. Welcome to Magnetic Pod. I'm stepping in the next little me. I'm here to be.
There are a couple of things that come to mind when I think about this. And it's a couple of lines that I read in A Course in Miracles. There is, I give everything that I see the meaning that it has for me, and I am not upset for the reason that I think. And I'm a Libran, and although you may or may not believe in star signs, I find the fact that I'm a Libran being a good way actually to describe how my personality works is that I really do weigh things up and see both sides of a story. So that's how I'm coming at this. And what I believe, and what is also echoed in the Course in Miracles, is basically we never know the full story of anything or anyone. We can only see what's on the surface. And even those close to us, even those in our own home, we don't know the whole story of our kids, of our husband or wife, of our siblings, of our parents. We don't know their inner world, and sometimes they don't even know aspects of themselves yet. So you might think, for example, there's been adults who decide to write a memoir and then their kids discover for the first time, as grown adults themselves, they discover that their parent was abused as a child or had some traumatic event that they had no idea about until that person decided to face that and write about it. You might think, oh, I know this person, I know something like that didn't happen, but you don't know everything that happened and you don't know what's going on in their heads, in their brain. You might be totally frustrated with someone that you know that doesn't respond to a message, or who leaves a mess everywhere they go, or who blurts out what's on their mind without thinking and sometimes says something rude. You might see it as disrespect. God, they're so rude. They're late to things. They start something and they never stick with it. They never see it through. And then later in life you might discover, or they might discover, that they've got ADHD or that they've got autism or something like that. But does there have to be a diagnosis for you to... Does there have to be someone validating it and giving them that for you to just, suspend judgment? It's only in recent years, really, that these diagnoses have really broadened until more, so that more kids are being picked up, and more girls specifically, because they used to only study boys, and adults. Like, I only got diagnosed last year at the end of 2022 with ADHD. My whole life I'm going through thinking that I just need to get better in certain areas and keep trying, and then I realise that there's a reason that I tend to always be messy and have certain attributes, and I didn't even know myself. So to my thought is, even if there is no diagnosis, a lot of, and whether anything should be called a diagnosis or just a recognition of a diagnosis makes it sound disordered, which a lot of people think it is. But my other thought is that, if you had a sheepdog and stuck it in a small paddock with nothing to do, it would be disordered, because it wasn't wired for that. So even if it's just recognizing that we have different wiring and that we can't possibly know it all now. We can't say, oh, that's not the reason because they haven't got a diagnosis. We already just realised 5 minutes ago in the evolution of life, it's relatively like 5 minutes ago, we only just figured out some of this stuff with autism and ADHD. Do you think we've got it all figured out? You really think so when we only figured that out 5 minutes ago? So perhaps we could just suspend judgment. And that doesn't mean that you accept any behaviour, but that you can set boundaries without judgment, without character assassinations for a lot of things. So when it comes to Taylor Swift as an example, I have been following with dismay like a lot of the stuff going on in the Middle East. This is just heartbreaking. And a lot of things that I see are just calling on her to use her platform to speak out. I can see the case for that, and maybe she really should. But also I recognise that I don't know everything, and I don't know what's going on in her world or what her thoughts are, or also she's silent, but maybe this means that she's failed, or maybe she doesn't care, or maybe she has people in her management, in her record companies, in her people that she's got deals with, in her employees. Maybe she's got people really entrenched deeply and all around her that on the other side of, have a different opinion, who would react very negatively and end her career. And yes, it is fine to say, well, she's got billions of dollars, that this is bigger than that and she should speak up. And that's a case you could make. But the other side to it, possibly, I'm not saying it's any of this. This is all supposition. My point is that we don't know what we don't know. But it's possible that, well, we do know that Taylor Swift is not a person. She's bigger than one person. She is a whole corporation. And she's in the middle of a world tour. And like if something went south with her career, that it wouldn't just affect her. It would affect all the people on tour with her, and it would affect it's bigger than her. So maybe she should just speak up, and maybe that's not it, and this benefit of the doubt isn't applicable or whatever, but maybe it is. My point is we don't know, and we should focus on what we can do and what we do know about things. I would hope that in the background maybe she's donating money and we don't know about it. Just because we don't know something doesn't mean it didn't happen. So one thing that she does do that I think is really worthwhile is like she's just been here in Melbourne for the last 3 days and had about 300,000 people. Like if you count, like it's nearly 100,000, 96,000 at each concert. And then on top of that, outside they had screens, apparently, I believe, and people gathered and just enjoyed her concert outside for free. And what I think is amazing is that apparently the police were saying that the crowds have been great, like much better than like some soccer crowds, and that everyone's just joyful and sharing love and sharing friendship bracelets. And you know what? I think that really counts. That is not frivolous. That is not fluff. That is what we need. We need it more than ever. It is important, and it is being sadly disregarded and belittled all this time for so many years, this sort of light feminine energy, this joy, it's just not seen as important. It's not taken seriously, but it's what the world needs. We need more of that. Oh my God, if the whole world had that, we wouldn't do the horrid things that happen in the world. So that does not replace taking action and trying to do what you can to rectify things that happen in the world that are horrid. But I think we need joy. I think it's important. It's a priority. It's not frivolous. So that's one thing she does that's good. I hope she's doing something behind the scenes. So where does that leave us? Am I saying that we can't put any expectations on other people and, we just have to put up with everything? Well, I think that we need to set boundaries. I think we can set expectations. We set boundaries with love. We set expectations on those who we employ to represent us, for example, politicians, or, in our lives, if we've got people that we work with, tradies, employees, our family, we can set boundaries, but we can do it from a place that's not that I'm perfect, not that I don't blow my top sometimes and all those things, and maybe sometimes you need to blow your top just to be human or get a message across, but that's what you would call a rupture, right? But you can repair. And I think for the most part, I definitely don't believe in name calling. Like that's a boundary for me. No name calling, no character assassination. But you can just say, look, when you leave your socks on the floor, it makes me feel like you think it's my job, or you're just leaving it for me, or you expect me to do it. And I might turn into a absolute grumpy bum if you don't do that. Pick it up. You can set boundaries, you can have expectations in that way, but you don't have to assume this means, you don't have to assume what it means. You don't have to assume they don't care. You don't have to assume that they can just forget. They can leave the milk out on the counter, and it's not because they're a total asshole. It's because they got distracted and forgot, or they just didn't think very far, especially if they're a kid or something. It does, you can speak with respect and not character assassinate, or not have such a tone that you're conveying that you think they're an idiot. You don't have to shout at someone like you think they're an idiot because they left socks on the floor or because they left the milk out or something. You don't know. It might be ADHD. It might be, a child that's not developmentally at the level to think. It might be someone stressed. It might be just thoughtlessness. But yeah, I don't believe in judging. So I think what we can do is take power in our own actions. Yeah, what we can control is ourselves and our boundaries without personal attacks. And I think there is a peace that comes from, like, if you think that someone is an idiot, or that if you think that someone does it because they're just rude, then what's that going to feel like for you? That's going to feel like frustration and anger, and it's not fairness and all of that stuff. But if you take a breath and know that you don't know everything, you can't know everything, you're not supposed to know everything, and you don't know the inner world of someone else, I think there's peace in that. And I think there's love in that, because you don't judge people so harshly. So, you can set boundaries without assuming that people are assholes. That's my 2 cents. I've got a podcast, so I'm allowed to say my 2 cents. Thank you for joining and listening to my 2 cents. What do you think? If you say anything, say it respectfully. No character assassinations and no name calling, okay? Otherwise, you'll be blocked, banned, and deleted. With love. Okay, so yeah, let me know what you'd like me to speak about in the next one, and rate, review, and say all the nice things, please, because that will bring you good karma. Okay, bye. I'm stepping in the next level me. I'm here to be everything I can be. Like a snake, I'm shedding my skin to be my wild next level me. I'm stepping in the next level me. I'm here to be everything I can be. Give you whiplash when you turn around and see me go again. Next level me. It's time to be. Hello, it's Livy here. Have you ever wondered about what the key elements are that make a podcast truly stand out? Or maybe you're thinking about starting your own special podcast and feel a bit overwhelmed and don't know where to start? Well, I have something for you. Introducing the Ultimate Podcast Checklist. Da, 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 da. It's a step-by-step guide that covers everything from the initial brainstorming to advanced growth strategies. It's the perfect companion for both new and seasoned podcasters. And the best part, it's absolutely free. Da, 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 da. To grab your copy, simply head to the show notes of this episode and you will find a direct link there, and then away you go. Remember, every podcast started with that initial spark and the right resource, so let the Ultimate Podcasting Checklist be yours.